Awesome. Thank you so much, Katrine, and everyone. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with you this evening or this morning, wherever you may be joining from, late afternoon, and Katrine's uh, her
Mhm.
spot on the West Coast. So I'm going to do a couple things first. I'm going to share something in the chat. So if you're joining us live in the Zoom, you'll be able to follow a link. I'll be using a Miro board to guide a lot of this. If you're just tuning in to watch, or you just want to kind of follow along with as I walk through the board, I'll also be sharing my screen. I will do that now, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about as I go. If you're not familiar with Miro, very quickly, I'll just tell you, once you jump into that board, you can jump in as a guest. And once you jump in, you'll be able to move your cursor around and see things. I'll pull you to wherever I am whenever I start a section, but you'll be able to follow along. The important key, if you're going to participate with some of the activities we do tonight, is to use the letter N. The letter N allows you to create a new note, a new sticky note. Over on the left-hand side, there's a button that also will do that. But a couple times throughout the presentation, I'll ask you to create sticky notes with some thoughts in them. You can just double click on those sticky notes to edit them, add text. And so that'll be a way that we can communicate together. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, and I am sharing my screen, but I'll go ahead and zoom in here to the beginning. And by the way, this is Inspector Gadget themed. So those of you who remember the old cartoon, Inspector Gadget, it's a great fit for what we're doing here. We're inspecting our retros, and I'll get into why Inspector Gadget makes this a great theme a little bit later. So I'm going to go ahead right now and snap everyone's attention to where I am, because I want you to come and see this first portion. This is going to be our learning objectives and our outline for tonight. Over on the left-hand side, you're going to see a section that says, what do you want to get out of our time today? That's my question for you. What are you hoping to take away from here? And we have a great audience here. I want to make sure that I address maybe some of the issues that you have, some things you're looking for. So if you wouldn't mind, I see some people already doing it. Excellent. Go ahead and drop in a sticky note over there. Like I said, it's as easy as pressing the letter N and then clicking the screen, and you can drop a sticky note in. Just start typing. I'm going to type something, something, and something. So feel free to create some sticky notes. We'll check those here in just a second. But as you're putting those in, I'm going to point to our learning objectives. We're in the intro stage right now. That's the first 10 minutes of this talk. Then we're going to do a retrospective overview. And then we're going to talk about 5 phases of retrospectives. And maybe you've never heard of the 5 phases. There's a fantastic book written by Esther Derby and Diana Larson, Agile Retrospectives. It goes in depth into that. There's some really good articles online too, so you're welcome to just Google the 5 phases of retrospectives. But that's what we're going to use as our outline. We'll spend 10 minutes on each of those phases, and then we'll do an outro, which hopefully we'll have Q&A. We'll have time to go into that as well. So I do want to point out that as we go through each of these, my goal for you, aside from getting what you want at a time, and we'll look at those in just a second, is to really think about what the retrospective ceremony can do for you or is doing for you. I'll just say at a high level, I find that people are kind of in one of 3 camps. Maybe you came and you said, look, I'm already doing retrospectives, help me do them better. Great, hopefully we can help with that. Or you might say, I'm doing retrospectives, but they've gotten stale, getting old. I don't know if it's a really good fit for me. We'll have stuff for you. Or maybe you say, I tried to get people to do retrospectives, or we're not doing them right now. How do we get started? Hopefully we have some stuff there for you as well. Our runtime, we are going to go for 90 minutes, well, a little less than that now. So we've got a lot of content to cover. I'm going to do my best to present it as clearly as possible. I do sometimes speak a little bit fast, so if you're losing me, that's what the recording's for. You can go back and watch it at half speed. That should make it a bit easier to follow. So I'm going to quickly glance at what we want to get out of our time today, and I'm going to hide people's cursors just so that I can see a little more clearly. New ideas for engaging the team. You want to make virtual retros better. New ideas to improve involvement. New ideas how to keep my team engaged. New retro ideas, bring the retro into the agile mindset, increase virtual engagement. A lot of people want new ideas, which is great. We're going to cover several. And then as you ask questions, I can maybe even add a few more to that. And then tactics beyond the basic. Online retro's biggest bang for your buck changes. Great. These are all very good. So before I jump into my content, I'm going to slide over here to the right. You're welcome to slide over here with me. To do, what are we doing here? We're welcoming. We're getting into the tools. We have the meeting agenda. Oh, I'll talk about session feedback in a second. Let me quickly introduce myself, and then I'll show you the area for feedback. This conglomeration of pictures is me. So I am the Director of Community and Retrospective Evangelist at Retrium, but I want to tell you really quickly how I got to Retrium. It's a great journey. Some of you have your own Agile journeys. Maybe you've been on it for a week. Maybe you've been on it for 10 years, 15 years, but everybody has a journey of how they got to where they're going. My journey starts down here in the bottom left-hand corner at the Department of Energy. So I was working with them. I was doing development. I was a happy little developer writing code. And I went from there to this company called Sabre. And while I was at Sabre, a manager asked me a very interesting question. He said, look, you write code today. Do you want to become a great coder or do you want to become a manager? And to be honest, I was very torn. I was like, I don't know. My goodness, do I want to go down the manager path? Do I want to go down the developer path? I don't know what to do. It was at that time that I was introduced some of the ideas of Scrum, and specifically this book right here, Coaching Agile Teams by Lisa Adkins. If you haven't read it and you're interested in anything Agile, I can't recommend it enough. The Scrum Master who introduced it to me said, this is like my Bible. I carry it everywhere with me. Wherever I go, I have this book. I got to attend that class with Lisa Adkins. She had that class at the time she was teaching. And from there, I said, you know what, developer or manager, I want to be an Agile coach. And so that set me on a journey. I was able to be a Scrum Master there at Sabre. And then I went on to start a group called Coaching Agile Journeys. It's an online meetup group, kind of like the Agile Experts Club. And then I also have worked with the Open Leadership Network a bit. I found myself most recently at AIG, being an Agile coach there. I did some Scrum Mastering work, eventually moved into a transformation coach role. And then from there, I've recently been at Retrium for the last 6 months or 5 to 6 months, and I'm absolutely loving it there. So I am a retrospective evangelist. So I am passionate about retrospectives, as hopefully you'll be able to see from my talk. Now, right over here on this to do on my intro, there is this thing called session feedback. And anytime you see a pop-up at the top right of one of these buttons, you'll be able to see that it's a link. There is a section on our board for session feedback. And I'm going to click on that link. It snaps me down here. Down here, you see session feedback. And what I would like is as we go, think about this, because I want at the end you to make a sticky note for what you loved, what you learned, and what you would change for next time. If you have any recommendations for me changing it. If you want to capture a question and you don't put it in the chat or something, you can make a note, put it over here on feedback and questions. We will come here at the end, and this will be where we wrap up over here in session feedback. All right.